Player ratings then, Everton 1, Manchester City 3 at Goodison Park. Just not good enough today, Everton. Just didn't have enough energy, enough quality to keep up with a very, very good Manchester City side, to be fair. And look, usually you'd probably sit back after that game and say, you know what, it was a hard one to get anything out of, and it's not the worst result or performance in the world. But given the performance on Sunday, it is still quite disappointing and disheartening to come away without anything. Certainly given the fact that, I think we helped Manchester City on a number of occasions by just pretty much allowing Riyad Mahrez to come in on his favoured left foot, as well as allowing Bernardo Silva to just basically take a free shot at goal, and then Jordan Pickford allowing him to put it in the back of the net. But anyway, we covered all of that in the instant match reaction. Let's get into the play ratings then. Jordan Pickford, then, I've given him a 6 today. Mixed performance for me by Jordan Pickford. I think he made some really, really big saves in the first half. Made one from Bernardo Silva, I think, at 1-1, which kept Everton in the game at that time, and looked relatively comfortable as well. Come for a couple of balls, collected one on one occasion where I think it deflected off Mason Holgate and it looped up and he come and caught it, and punched another couple out. Look, there's an argument for, I think, the second goal, that if he doesn't punch it out and he actually comes and catches, then the shot isn't taken by Riyad Mahrez, and I think that's a fair shout, to be fair. I also think his distribution was quite poor today. I think, there was a number of times when we had the ball and, it was comfortable and he either kicked it or he threw it straight out to, not necessarily a Manchester City player, but an Everton player with about 3 or 4 Manchester City players around them. And I know that's difficult because, everybody was marked constantly throughout the game, but I just think Jordan's distribution put the likes of Abdoulaye Doucouré, I know was under pressure a couple of times, and there was a couple of times where he hit it out and they just got it straight back and come back forward, and it was a complete waste. Also think he could do better for the third goal. Let's be perfectly honest, it's hit very much central. I understand it could have been hit with a bit of swerve. I understand it could have been hit with a bit of power, but if you're getting a strong hand to it there, you've got to do better, but to put it in the back of the net. And look, I don't think it was his worst performance, to be honest with you. He couldn't do anything for the second goal. Don't particularly think he's a fault for Foden's either. It's a nasty deflection. Definitely could have done better for the third, and his distribution was poor. So I've given him a 6. Ben Godfrey, I've given him a 6.5. Again, I think he was a fault for Mahrez's goal. He allowed Mahrez completely to come inside on his favoured left foot, but I thought he'd done okay today. There was one time in the first half where he made a darting 40 yard run and there was absolutely nobody up with him. In fact, I think he fancied taking Kyle Walker on, to be honest with you, but there was just nobody around him. He had to play it all the way back to Luca Dean, who was playing left midfield, but for some reason adopted the position at left back today. I'm not too sure why. But yeah, again, like I said, I think he was quite solid. Defended okay. Did get caught a couple of times by Manchester City, but again, they've got a lot of quality, an awful lot of quality in their attack, and it was always going to be the case that we were put under pressure, and I thought he dealt with it relatively well. So Ben Godfrey's getting a 6.5. Michael Keane's getting a 5 today. Not really impressed with him. Certainly in that second half, I think he struggled. Look, the first half, I think he was very, very solid defensively. He dealt with pretty much everything that came into him, and that's probably harsh. You may think that, some may say he gets at least a 6 for his first half performance, but I just think in the second half, I think his distribution was poor. A couple of times we had the ball and he just decided to hit it aimlessly, and it ended up going to nobody. And it wasn't like he was attempting a pass to Iwobi or Richarlison and it just didn't make it. He seemed to just hit it aimlessly and it go back to Manchester City. And I said on a couple of times today on Twitter that in a game like this, when we have possession, which isn't going to be very often, let's be honest, I'd love to see the possession stats at the end of the game, but it wasn't going to be very often that we had possession today. So when we did have it, we couldn't afford to just be hitting it up and lashing it forward and giving them it back to come back at us. We needed to be a little bit calmer with it and a little bit more composed. And I think in the first half we were, but in the second half, I think there was a couple of times that Michael Keane just lashed it forward. As well as that, I think he's at fault for Bernardo Silva's goal as well. He's not the only player, to be fair, but I think he's at fault for Bernardo Silva's goal. He completely turns his back before Silva's even taken the shot instead of coming forward to him. So, you know what? Actually, I'll give him a 6 instead for that first half performance. I think he was very solid, but the second half, I don't think he helped himself whatsoever. Yerry Mina, obviously incredibly difficult to rate because he was only on for 20 odd minutes. I'll give him a 6.5. I don't think he was caused many issues in that 20 minutes that he was on the pitch. I think he dealt with pretty much everything that he needed to. just the big thing with Yerry Mina is we're all touching, wood that he's not out for Saturday's Merseyside derby, because he's been excellent this season, absolutely excellent, arguably our best defender. And when he went down, obviously the big fear was that it was a serious injury. He walked off, which I suppose is a positive, but like I said, I'm just crossing my fingers that it's not a serious injury and he'll be okay for Saturday. But really tough to rate him, so I'm just going to give him a 6.5. Mason Holgate, I'm giving him a 5. Looked comfortable at right back when we started at right back, and then obviously he had to move into centre half. I just don't think he looks as comfortable at centre half, to be honest with you. I think positional wise he gets caught under the ball on a couple of occasions today. I think he allowed Manchester City in on a number of times. And again, there was a couple of opportunities for Gabriel Jesus in that game where, on another day he probably would have buried them, and they come from the centre-back partnership of including Mason Holgate, who've just completely fallen asleep. Like I said, right back, he was doing okay, and I think he sort of settled there, but then when he had to be moved inside, I just don't think he's as confident there. So Mason's getting a 5. Into the midfield then, Alex Iwobi's getting a 7. I thought he was one of our best players in the first half, to be honest with you. Really refreshing to see Alex Iwobi attacking Manchester City. Like I said, the times in that first half, I think it's been overlooked, certainly by the commentary. Amazon Prime were absolutely crying Manchester City to win that game, and I think it was overlooked by the commentary that Everton didn't just have one opportunity. We didn't just score one goal out the blue and that was it. Yes, Manchester City had a lot more chances, and yes, they had an awful lot more of the ball, but there was 3 or 4 or 5 good opportunities when Everton got forward. The Corey had one where Alex Iwobi plays him brilliantly in, and he makes a dart and run, passes it to Dean, who passes it back, and he couldn't decide whether to shoot or cross. Like I said, the goal, of course, was a fantastic bit of play, and I think Alex Iwobi was involved in every decent bit of play that Everton had tonight. There was a couple of times as well when he got the ball in a tight area, and he just nice little bit of foot control got him out of danger, and then he either played it off to Tom Davies, or he played it forward. I thought he was really good. Close control I thought was really good. He was running at plays. Did he fade in the second half? Of course he did, but everybody did. Let's be perfectly honest, everybody faded in that second half because we just weren't able to keep up with Manchester City's pressure and press. He was taken off prematurely for me. I agreed with the substitutions coming on. I agree with Josh King and Hammers coming on, but I didn't agree with Alex Iwobi being taken off. I actually thought he'd done okay, so he's getting a 7. Abdoulaye Doucouré, very similarly, is getting a 7. Excellent in that first half. It was between Doucouré, Davis, Iwobi and Richarlison for me, standout players in that first half. Doucouré was picking the ball up constantly. He was nicking it off Manchester City players. Again, every sort of bit of forward play involved Abdoulaye Doucouré picking the ball up, playing it off. He played a couple of really, really nice passes in that first half to set us forward and to get us on the counter attack. And I just thought he done really, really well. Again, same story as Alex Iwobi. Did he fade in the second half? Of course he did. That energy sort of was zapped out quite quickly, and he struggled to keep up with the high press of Manchester City and ultimately the intensity of their midfield. He was also a little bit sloppy at times with the ball at his feet. There was a couple of times when the ball just rolled underneath him, but overall, certainly in that first half, I thought he was absolutely outstanding, so he's getting a 7. Tom Davies getting a 7.5. Was there a couple of times that he passed backwards? Yes, but we're playing Manchester City, the side that are ultimately going to win the league by a long, long, long stretch. So sometimes he had to pick the ball up and he had to pass it backwards. I thought Tom was really, really good today. Really calm on the ball. Won fouls in good areas. Brought the ball forward at times when he needed to as well. Again, really good close control. Nicked it back. Giving away fouls in the right areas as well. Not allowing Manchester City to break. To be honest, I'm not going to blame Carlo Ancelotti's substitutions for the reason we lost that game, because I think even Alex Iwobi and Tom Davies in that second half did start to tire. But why Tom Davies is coming on and Gylfi Sigurdsson's being dropped back into the defensive role is just absolutely beyond me. It's beyond me. Tom Davies does a much better job than Gylfi Sigurdsson can ever do in that defensive role. Gylfi is a good player, and I thought he done okay today. I thought his effort was there. Certainly going forward, there was a couple of nice bits of play. There was a couple of times when he rolled the ball, but defensively he's a liability. He's an absolute liability, and I think Tom was very, very unfortunate to be taken off. So he's getting a 7.5. Impressed with Tom Davies today. Luca Dean, I've given him a 6.5. Obviously he had the shot which deflected off the post, and Richarlison knocked in for the equaliser. But he was caught out a couple of times defensively. He was pretty much put on his arse by Gabriel Jesus in the first sort of 15-20 minutes. I think we moved back to a 5 at the back in that second half to just avoid the pressure from Manchester City. And again, there was a couple of times when they just comfortably got down that left-hand side and Luka Dean didn't put much of a foot in, to be fair, defensively. But again, going forward, he was a threat. There was constant balls into the box. There was one where we had an excellent bit of play between Decore, Sigurdsson and Iwobi it is, and it goes out to Luka Dean, and he has all the time in the world to take a touch and swing in an excellent ball, and he tries to hit it in first time, and it's just absolutely woeful. So he's getting marked down on that alone, harsh, but not good enough. So he's getting a 6.5. Richarlison, again, a 7. I thought in the first half he battled really well, and I feel a little bit sorry for Richarlison again. Did he fade out the game? Yes. Did we have any chances in the second half for him? No. Got the equaliser ultimately. Yes, it's a deflected shot. Yes, he's standing on the post, etc. But he has to be there. He's in the right place at the right time, and he's there to knock it in. And I thought he put in a really good centre forward display, to be honest with you, tonight. Certainly in that first half, like I said, picking the ball up, winning decent fouls, holding the ball up well, not allowing Manchester City to just get it back. And if there's one thing we struggled with in that first half, and throughout the game really, if it wasn't the energy of Manchester City and the fact that we couldn't keep up with that, it was the fact that we had possession on a number of occasions and we just gifted it back to them. We just simply allowed them to. It was almost like we went, right, okay, we've got it back now. Yeah, you come back at us, we'll give it back to you. And one thing I thought Richarlison done really well was not do that. There was a couple of players, I've just spoke about Michael Keane doing it before, just stupidly hitting the ball, anywhere and gifting it back to them. Whereas Richarlison didn't do that. He kept hold of it well. He won fouls if he needed to win fouls. He brought players out the game. He held players off. He passed it out well. And obviously he got his goal. I thought it was a really decent shift by Richie tonight, so he's getting a 7. And Gylfi Sigurdsson is getting a 5. Like I said, done all right. Worked relatively hard going forward. Couple of nice touches of the ball. Played in a couple of times and played some nice passes, but ultimately he is a liability defending. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here and blame Gylfi Sigurdsson for the goal tonight. I'm not going to blame Gylfi Sigurdsson for completely allowing Bernardo Silva to run off him. I'm blaming Carlo Ancelotti because there's not one situation in this world that would, for me, say that Gylfi Sigurdsson should be playing defensive midfield over Tom Davies. Not one whatsoever. He can't play there. He's a liability. He isn't quick enough. He isn't clued on enough. He's not quick to enough opportunities, and he allowed Bernardo Silva to run off him. Defensively, he was really poor, but again, he didn't put himself there. Carlo Ancelotti put him there. Going forward, didn't do anything. Nice couple of passes, worked a little bit hard. He's getting a 5. On to the subs then. Seamus Coleman, I'm going to give him a 6.5 as well. Thought he progressed Everton. Obviously, there was massive worries when Yerry Mina come off and Seamus come on, because obviously it meant that Mason was dropping back into the centre-back position, and he hasn't really looked really comfortable there, and he didn't really look very comfortable tonight either. But I thought Seamus progressed us up the pitch. Obviously, it's a great shift ball into Luka Dean for the goal. Excellent ball in to Luka Dean. I think he deserves a lot of plaudits for that. Defensively, again, got caught on a number of occasions, got turned on the outside and on the inside on a couple of occasions, but that's Manchester City for you. Just thought he was all right tonight. He was all right. He's getting a 6.5. Like I said, some would probably say he wasn't good enough. Some would say he done well when he come on. I thought he was all right. Hammers is getting a 5. There was one bit of play where he took the ball round. I can't remember what it was, but he took it round it brilliantly, and he passed it off to King, who put a ball into the box, and Abdoulaye Decore fell to Decore, and he couldn't sort his feet out. But other than that, he didn't really have an impact in the game. And to be fair, it was difficult at that time. We were being outrun. We couldn't get anywhere near the ball. We were chasing shadows, and we only had the ball on a number of occasions, so it was difficult for him. And same with Josh King, he's getting a 5 as well. They put a really good ball into the box, but again, he was brought on at a time when, okay, I understood the logic of bringing them on because we were pushing to try and get an equaliser and pushing to try and get back into the game, but we were just chasing shadows in that last 30-35 minutes of the game. So there you go. They are the player ratings. Another disappointing defeat, not a surprising defeat, not an embarrassing defeat either, considering how good Manchester City are. But again, after the Fulham loss on Sunday, it really does just sting, doesn't it? Anyway, they're the player ratings. Let me know your thoughts on them in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed the video, leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. Cheers for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.